Starting off this countdown, we have UMOJA Village. Located in Kenya, this village was founded in 1990 by a woman named Rebecca Lolosoli. It was created as a safe haven for homeless women, women trying to escape forced marriages, or survivors of violence, etc. The idea came to her while she was in the hospital after being attacked by a group of men. This village is barred off by a fence of thorns to try and prevent men from entering. There are around 27 women and 200 children living at this village. The women that live there still work so they can afford clothes, food, and their shelter. On top of that, their village is open to female tourists with hope that they will come in and buy some of their jewelry. They also charge a fee for anyone that wants to come in.
In our number 9 spot today, we have the Alaskan wilderness. Chris McCandless is someone I have talked about before on this channel. He is the man who inspired the book Into the Wilderness. In 1992, while hiking through the Alaskan wilderness, Chris came across an abandoned bus in which he set up camp. Unfortunately, he later found himself trapped in the wilderness due to the rising water in the nearby river, and this bus became the place that he passed away. Since the release of the book about his life in 1996 and the subsequent film by the same name, Chris's story inspired many people who wanted to live life in a way that Chris did, or they just wanted to travel to the bus and see the things that Chris saw. Either way, this bus has proven to be quite a dangerous tourist attraction, as many people have found themselves in a similar situation to the one that Chris was in. The nearby river has proven to be fatal for many people who have tried to cross it, which is certainly not the legacy Chris was trying to leave. Just last year in March, the bus actually ended up being removed from the trail. As much as I do wish it could have stayed where it was, I think the decision to prioritize the public's safety was the best and right decision to make.
Coming in number 8, we have Snake Island. Have you ever wanted to go to a place that has a bunch of snakes and they're all over the ground and in your hair and in your cereal? If you answered yes to that question, you should probably go to therapy, because that's just too many snakes. You should expect no more than a reasonable amount of snakes in your day-to-day, say maybe 1 to 2 snakes. But there is one place on this earth that could give you that many snakes, and that is of course Snake Island. This is a real place. It's not something a 14-year-old boy dreamt up when he inhaled some vapor from a gas leak, or the premise of some bad movie from the 90s that has both LL Cool J and Mariah Carey in it. No, this is an island off the coast of Brazil that is teeming with snakes. People have gone out to visit this horror show, mostly for research purposes, and I'm sure there are some people that are dumping bodies over there because no one is about to head over to Snake Island to find them. There are many different species of snake that live on this island. You better believe that there's a good chunk of them that are poisonous. I couldn't think of a worse travel destination. Not only would you be attacked by snakes the entire time, but no one would come to the island after to recover your body because it would be too dangerous, and there would be a good chance that your corpse would be munched on by all the slithering demon creatures that call this place home.
In our number 7 spot today, we have Death Road. North Youngest Road has the nickname Death Road, and honestly, when you just look at it, you can totally understand why. This 69-kilometer road is full of hairpin turns, and of course it is on the side of a mountain. Not to mention the fog, landslides, and waterfalls. It was so dangerous that until 1994, there were at least 300 drivers a year who were getting killed on this road. This road connects the Amazon rainforest to the capital city, so it was happening very often that salespeople would cram into trucks or buses filled with their wood and crops in order to try and sell them. The issue, however, was that the sharp turns were not wide enough for these larger vehicles, which would of course lead to them falling off the edge of the cliff, which was always fatal. There have certainly been steps taken to make the road slightly more safe for tourists, but it still remains one of the more dangerous places in the world. It is such a shame though, because it looks absolutely beautiful.
Coming in number 6, we have Omayakan. How about the coldest place on earth where people actually live? You know that if you take a trip somewhere, you can pick a spot that has beautiful sunshine, fruits that are so fresh, they were literally just picked off the vine before they touched your lips, and food so good that you'll eat until you're rolling on the ground moaning like a llama giving birth. Well, even though that sounds like a no-brainer when choosing your next travel spot, it turns out that some people will choose to visit a place that has none of those things and the chance of losing all your fingers and toes to frostbite. Welcome to Omayakan, where it regularly sits at -40, the coldest inhabited city in the world. This place is in Siberia, and it's so cold there that there's only about 500 people who have been able to live there. They do know that they can leave whenever whenever they want, right? There's a whole world out there waiting for them. The people there can't grow any sort of vegetation, so they live off mostly fish and reindeer meat. That sounds like an exciting experience for your palate. One of the biggest tourist attractions there is a massive thermometer that shows exactly how miserable you should be every day. And one time it got so cold that it broke. Also, if you want to leave, you better plan ahead because the closest airport is 500 kilometers away.
In our number 5 spot today we have Bikini Island. Bikini in the Marshall Islands was once inhabited by around 170 islanders until 1945 rolled around. The US president at the time, Harry Truman, ordered that the military continue to test nuclear weapons just in case they were needed in the future, since this was just shortly after the end of World War II. Unfortunately, Bikini was the place that was chosen to be the testing site, since all planes and ships traveled on routes that weren't close to the area. The residents of the island were asked to vacate for the good of mankind and to end all world wars, to which they of course obliged, under the impression that they would one day be able to move back. In 1954, the military detonated one of the most powerful weapons, Castle Bravo, which was 15 megatons, which is extremely large. This, combined with the 22 other nuclear weapons that were dropped, the island saw some extremely deadly levels of radiation that left the residents unable to return until the 70s. But, of course, just shortly after this, they realized that there were still higher levels of radiation than they thought, which left the island unsafe to live on. Bikini still remains uninhabited, but apparently there are people who try diving into the water surrounding it, but I just don't think I'd take that risk.
Coming in number 4, we have Oak Island. Do y'all like treasure? Heck yes. Do y'all like spooky stories about treasure? Heck yes. Do y'all like getting stuck in a trap while you're trying to find some treasure and then being lost to the world you know? Well, that's what's been going on over at Oak Island for years. If you don't know, there's a place called Oak Island that apparently has a massive treasure on it, and no one has been able to find it. Treasure hunters come there all the time to try and dig up the booty, but here's the thing. There's a bunch of booby traps on the island. So many that people have actually lost their lives while trying to find the treasure. So be careful if you ever head over there, because you never know what sort of defenses could be hidden to protect the treasure. Coming in at number 3, we have the Paris Catacombs. What did Paris do in the 18th century when they were overflowing with bodies? Well, they dug them all out of the ground and they built an entire tunnel system to put over 6 million people worth of remains down there. You can go visit them, and I bet there's no ghosts down there. There's even rumors that some sort of beast lives in the catacombs and eats people who gets lost, and there have been secret raves that take place, and no one knows if these raves are actually held by people who live on the surface or some sort of strange mole people who like EDM and live in the tunnels. Who knows? Coming in number 2, we have North Korea. I mean, do what you want with your life, but this place has always been sketchy to me. I mean, I would never want to go there because we have done so many videos on this channel about what might be going on in that country, and what if one of the Kim Jongs or someone in the government over there loves watching top 10 stuff? Then they saw one of these videos and they're waiting for when I cross and they arrest me. They lock me up in some weird prison, and then that's the last you see of me. Yeah, that's not the way I want to go. Also, there's apparently a secret prison over there where they horrible things to people, and if you even want to get in the country, you need to get special permission. Also, I don't know if there's anything worth checking over there, so it would be risking it all for something that might not even be worth it.
In our number 1 spot today we have Mount Sinabung. Sumatra is an exceptionally popular tourist destination for a multitude of reasons, but one of the main ones is of course Mount Sinabung. It is obviously extremely beautiful, but the 8,000 foot tall mountain is a fully active volcano. It had a large eruption for the first time in almost 400 years in 2010, and ever since then, the 4 craters on this volcano have been very active. Since it's such a popular visitor destination, sadly when the eruption in 2010 happened, there were 2 people who lost their lives. You think this would be the only incident, but there were more lives lost when the volcano erupted again in 2014, and even more when it erupted again in 2018. There have been evacuations evacuations at other points during the years due to the fear of a large and catastrophic eruption. I feel like that's the downside to living in a place like this. It's obviously extremely beautiful, but then you just have to live life constantly on the edge, not knowing if your city is about to melt to the ground. The mountain still remains open for tourists, but you are urged to hike with a guide.
Starting off this countdown, we have AMCHITKA Island. Located in Alaska, sections of this island are blurred out on Google Maps, and no one really knows why this is. But it may have to do with the nuclear testing that once took place there. From the 1950s to the 1970s, AMCHITKA Island was the site of US underground nuclear testing. Nowadays, they are running tests to see if the island has any radioactive leakage there. If there isn't, then in 2025 it could become a wildlife reserve. But again, why is half of the island blurred out? Maybe that's the section where the nuclear testing took place. But why is it still blurred? A lot of people think that the military is doing some suspicious illegal activities there and that's why. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And at number 9 we have University Women's Club. And guys, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel because you know what? It really helps us out, so thank you. This is a female-only club that was founded in 1888 London. It was a space for women to come to just relax and unwind, not having to worry about their household duties or whatever. It was also a professional space where business meetings would take place. This club also offered 22 bedrooms so that you could stay if need be, and 2 big event rooms should you ever need to rent them out for private parties or whatever. This place was open for all women of all ages, just no men. Moving on to number 8, we have the International Club of Paris. The Women's International Club of Paris, or Le WIC de Paris, was a club open to any and all women. Its goal is to get women of all different nationalities living in or around Paris to join this club and share their culture with others in the group. The group does things such as film screenings, book clubs, and would do activities like gymnastics and learn other languages. This club is pretty big. They have 252 members from 52 different countries. Again, there's no men allowed in this club. It's strictly women coming together to learn more about each other and form connections. They also say that the space is non-political and non-religious. They just want everyone to get together as one. Moving on to number 7, we have NOIVA de CORDEIRO. This is a remote Brazilian village that is home to 600 women. Now, this village is interesting for a number of reasons. Number 1, most of the women living there are 20 to 35 years old, like that's pretty young. On top of that, they are known to be all stunningly beautiful. Now, this village is a bit different than the other places on this list. Men are allowed to visit, but typically they don't live there. But the only time they can visit is on the weekends. They're forced to work away from home and that's the only time that they have to visit. But most of the women that live there run the show. They work in the field and manage all the village's finances. They're like the bosses. Coming in at number 6, we have New Woman Space. Founded by Wong and Sandra Hong, New Woman Space, located in Brooklyn, is a place where women can come together as one. It's located in Williamsburg and is specifically for entrepreneurs or those looking to collaborate with other women. At this location, they have book club meetings and yoga classes. The founder Wong says, and I quote, "Our location means there is no shortage of women submitting new ideas for classes and workshops who want to host events in every realm you can think of, and those who have found comfort and strength in knowing there is a community space for them." We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the female-only parties. This next city, located in Colombia, is famous for having a men's curfew night. Basically, after a certain time at night, men are banned from leaving their homes. Literally banned. Like, you could be fined for breaking this rule. Meanwhile, the women are free to roam the streets. On these nights, there are women-only concerts, film shows, and parties. Fire and police stations are taken over by female-only crews. It's a time for women to just, let loose and have fun. According to the mayor who created this idea, he said these female-only nights will reclaim public space for the women of Bogota and help men to get to know their homes. Moving on at number 4, we have the sorority. And no, I'm not talking about like a college or university sorority here. The sorority is a club only for women. It's described as an online network for professional women who want to collaborate and inspire others. Most of the meetings take place online. But if you live in London, some members meet regularly at different venues in London. Apparently, there are a couple members of royalty in this club. Now, if you are a female and this interests you and maybe you want to join the club, too bad, too sad. You can only get in by invitation only, so it's a pretty secretive club. On top of that, you have to fill out their pledge, which seems a little culty to me. But anyway, it seems like they want only the elite of the elite to be a part of this club. In our third spot, we have the secret society. Back in the 1840s, women were caught for having a number of different secret societies in New York. These societies were legit top secret. They didn't want men finding out about them at all. But this plan failed. In 1847, 4 of these secret societies were caught. Back then, it was a pretty big deal. Now, there's not much out there on these societies, like what went down, since it was so long ago. But apparently the government tried to break them up if they heard about them. When 4 clubs got exposed, they realized just how big they were. One society had 2,000 members. Like, that's insane. But yeah, with the amount of members, word was bound to get out sooner or later. In our second spot, we have WOMYNS Land. Now, this community spells its name WOMYNS, as in WOMYNS, instead of MANS. Because they literally want nothing to do with men. No man in the name, no man ever allowed in the community. Now, this community was fairly large. It started as a social movement in the 1970s in the US, Australia, New Zealand, and Western Europe. Basically, it was a group of women that wanted to escape the patriarchal society. So they decided to make their own community. Many of them still exist today. Back then, these women lived in the woods on private land. And honestly, a lot of people didn't know they existed. Some were meant specifically for women that identified as lesbian, others were for women traveling across countries alone and needed a safe place to stay. Nowadays, there are still a few of these communities left. These women live in small cabins or shacks. The only issue is that these women are getting older and need a new generation of younger women to come and keep these communities alive. But not a lot of younger women are interested in this. And in our number 1 spot, we have SUPERSHE Island. Located off the coast of the Baltic Sea, the SUPERSHE Island is a secret vacation destination for only women. It's owned by a woman named Christina Roth. She first discovered this island while on vacation in Finland. From there, she purchased it and spent months doing massive renovations. Now the island has 4 renovated cabins that can hold up to 10 women. The whole purpose of this island is to look after the wellness of the female mind, bodies, and souls. While on the island, you can partake in a number of activities including yoga, meditation, kayaking, and hiking. Now, don't be fooled. It's not like you can just book a trip there and you're all set. No, you actually need to fill out an application. On the form, you have to write to Christina why you want to go to the island. And she is specifically looking for people that aren't just writing BS, but like actually truly want to go to the island to better themselves.
Coming in number 10, we have the KOKODA Trail. There are tons of places around the world that draw in a ton of tourists, but when you do a little research on them, you will start to learn that they could be a little more dangerous than you think. Like, we all love a good hike, going for a long walk and testing your body against the elements. You get a solid workout in, you bring some snacks to munch down on while you're walking about, you get to see some wonderful nature, and if you're with the right kind of family, you probably get into 13 arguments along the way about nothing. The KOKODA Trail is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Papua New Guinea. People travel from all over the world to go on this fantastic hike and see some of the country's wilderness. Now, aside from the regular hazards you might run run into while you're hiking along this rocky trail, the KOKODA trail is known for being packed with mosquitoes. While most of the time you shouldn't have to worry about these annoying bugs outside of the fact that they can be annoying and for some reason can't get a taste of your blood without being completely irritating, the mosquitoes there are packed with malaria. Yeah, you don't want to be catching that sickness while you're hiking around in the wilderness. It will quickly make you sick. On the bright side, you can take some malaria medication before you go over to the country to make sure that you won't catch this sickness. On the downside, malaria medication apparently gives you some wicked nightmares. So you won't get sick, but you might see a bog monster with a clown head and devil wings eat your whole family before it bursts into a million spiders while you're fast asleep.
In our ninth spot, we have 2207 Seymour Avenue. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up. 2207 Seymour Avenue, located in Cleveland, Ohio, is a home where a horrific crime took place. From 2002 to 2004, Ariel Castro kidnapped 3 young women: Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Georgina De Jesus. He kept them captive in his home until 2013, when Amanda Berry escaped with her daughter and contacted the police. The police came to his house and rescued the other women. Castro was arrested within hours. He was sentenced to life plus 1,000 years in prison without parole. Due to the disturbing crimes that took place at his home, Google Maps decided to blur his house. In fact, the house has been named the House of Horrors. But a couple years back, his house was demolished to help the victims move on from their traumatizing past. Coming in at number 8, we have the French nuclear facility. The Arriva-La Hague nuclear fuel reprocessing facility in France is another place that is blurred out on Google Maps. This facility opened in 1976 and is responsible for treating nuclear fuel from several countries. Here's the thing though, this facility hasn't always been blurred out. By using the Google Earth History tab, you can see old Google Earth images of this facility. So now, why all of a sudden is it blurred out? What is going on there? Well, it may have something to do with the controversy it has received and the backlash it received from Greenpeace. Since 1997, Greenpeace has been trying to shut it down, saying that they dump 1 million liters of liquid radioactive waste per day in the ocean. That is severely messed up if that's true. Maybe that's why it's blurred out, so that people don't see what they're really up to with their nuclear waste. Moving on to number 7, we have the French prison. There are a number of prisons that are blurred out on Google Earth, including the Beaumet prison in Marseille. Now, why do they blur out images of prisons? Well, a couple of reasons. One, for privacy. But the main reason is so that the criminals don't know the layout of the prison. Basically, this prison wasn't always blurred. Following a successful jailbreak, France's Minister of Justice was like, why are there aerial images of this prison available online? And then that led to the prison getting blurred. But of course, you can still find older images of the prison on Google Maps that show what it looks like and its layout. In our 6th spot, we have the Antarctic ice shield. This is another pretty strange place to get blurred. But basically, halfway between Australia and Madagascar, there is a 22-kilometer long blur in the middle of the Antarctic ice shield. I mean, this place is one of the most isolated places on Earth. There's nothing but ice and penguins there. So why is it being blurred out? We don't know for sure, but people think that there is something hidden there that we're not allowed to see. Although it's thought to be owned by Australia, theory goes that Russia or the US have built a research facility there. The only way we'll know for sure is by visiting the place itself. So who's coming with me for this field trip? It'll be a lot of fun. Come on, just pack a snowsuit and lots of hot packs. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with MURUROA Island. Located in French Polynesia, this island was first used for nuclear testing in 1966 by France. These tests apparently took place until 1996. That's when the French president shut down the facility. Why? Well, Greenpeace found out that these tests were polluting the water as far as Peru and New Zealand. In fact, many locals in Tahiti have claimed they have been affected by the radiation from the tests. Nowadays, the island is off limit to visitors and is guarded by French forces, which is probably why half of the island is blurred on Google Maps. Or maybe it's because they're still doing these nuclear tests. We may never know. Moving on at number 4, we have ELMIRA Correctional Facility. ELMIRA Correctional Facility, also known as The Hills, is a maximum security state prison in New York. This is another facility blurred on Google Earth. Why? Well, a number of reasons. 1, they have fears of an aerial attack. Number 2, they have fears that someone will use this information to plan an escape. And number 3, the prison is highly secure. Why would they want images of the building online for everyone to see? But it turns out that this location got blurred after a number of riots and mass escapes. Moving on to number 3, we have North Korea. Okay, is it even shocking that North Korea has sections of its country blurred? I mean, they are so secretive, so this isn't a surprise at all. Now, the area that is blurred is along the country's western shore. So people have thought that they are hiding something there, maybe a secret military project. Who knows? I mean, hey, the country is hiding so many things. Like I said, this one doesn't really come as a surprise. In our second spot, we have Patio de los Naranjos. Located in Spain, this place translates to orange tree yard, and it is completely censored on Google Maps. No matter how close you try to zoom in on the map or the area close by, you won't be able to see anything. Why? Well, there's a lot of government buildings located there, so it's blurred out for security and privacy reasons, which makes sense. Many government or military buildings are blurred out on Google Maps for similar reasons. And in our number 1 spot today, we have JEANNETTE Island. Located in Russia, this island is said to contain a secret Russian military base. If you type this island into Google, you'll find a whole lot of nothing. Legit, it just looks like a bunch of water. It's not even registered on Google Maps as an island. When you type in its coordinates, you will see a message that says this island is unavailable. Now, before it was removed from the maps altogether, it wasn't even blurred out. It was actually blacked out. Like there was a full-on black mass just covering it. But when you zoomed in, you could see this icy mass, and that's all. According to Reddit user Exoplanetary Science, he said, and I quote, "Google rarely blacks out without reason. A search through Google Earth shows that this has been permanently blurred out, even in images dating back to the 1980s. I'm going to guess there's a concealed Russian military base located there, and possibly quite a substantial one." So, there you have it, folks, a secret Russian military base.